For he is limitless. Keith Lee is now all elite, and the wrestling world is losing their minds about it. Here's what Keith Lee has to say. We'll get into that on today's Sports Key to Wrestling top story of the day. No, AEW President Tony Khan is not running for Congress. We'll debunk that rumor that got going this morning on social media. Plus, Seth Rollins, one of the best pro wrestlers in the world. Yes, maybe one of the best dressed there if you're stealing something from Elton John's closet. He has proclaimed what his Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers are. We'll get into all of it on today's top story of the day. You share the link or you stink?
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. All my watch out gang is in the room. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. If you're with us for the first time, don't make it the last time. Subscribe to Sports Key Wrestling here on YouTube, on Facebook. Make sure those notifications are on, things so you know when we're live. I know we get lost in your feed and all that good stuff. Love seeing all the diehards here with us as well. A lot to talk about. It'll be an AEW heavy show since they made a lot of news last night. A lot to jump into. Jose G with me, Jeremy Bennett as well. And before we get going here, need to let you know, why don't you join the more than 12,000, that's right, 12,000 now,
12
that have voted in the Sports Kita Wrestling Awards, the most interactive and engaging wrestling awards show that you can find online with experts like Eric Bischoff, Rob Van Dam, Braun Strowman, a.k.a. Adam Shear, and DDP, Hall of Famers, world champions, all chiming in publicly with their votes, and you get to vote with them. So go vote now, sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards. If you did vote, if you're with us in the comments, tell us what your picks were. And, why didn't you guys nominate this person? We don't mind hearing that, too. Shout out to the Watch Out gang, all the people that are with us for the first time. Thank you guys so much for doing it. Let's start off here. Thomas Flip saying, great to see Keith Lee back in the ring. Of course, he made his AEW debut. This was kind of expected of the big names that were teased here. This is the one we got. He did try to swerve fans by posting an old picture of a vacation saying that he was on his honeymoon because he got married last weekend. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to him. He had a great debut against Isaiah Kennedy and powerbombed him and his tag team partner on each other. It was pretty impressive. What do you think the ceiling is here for Keith Lee and AEW? And he has something to say about it, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be bright. It's going to be bright. As you can see, they booked him to be very dominant against Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, the Private Party. Man, when he caught Mark Quinn flying in upside down, that was pretty badass. So I think there's if last night's any indication that and just listen to the pop the crowd had, it was a gigantic pop that they had. So I think that there's a very bright future for Keith Lee in AEW.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, his nickname says it. He is limitless. Yeah, he will be limitless in AEW. Great reaction. I saw a comment or one of the memes or a tweet or something this morning, and it said, oh, go figure. All you needed to do to get Keith Lee over is just let Keith Lee be Keith Lee.
And there was a time when he was over in WWE NXT and he won the championship and had a solid run there. But I don't like stuff like this. Like Steven saying, WWE wasted Keith Lee. We're not talking about that now. That isn't the story with Keith Lee anymore. He's in AEW. He's in this ladder match. He can put himself in a position very quickly to be in the world title scene of this promotion that he just had one match in just a little bit, in just a few weeks. He could do that. I just don't get the regression. Like, it has to be focus on the show that you're watching. Like, let this guy, I'm saying that as someone with ADD, like, this doesn't, like, what happened wrong with him in the past is not defining him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the screw job is the most definitive thing about Bret Hart. And if people just let that be him, then you're just tainting it. You're not letting someone be bigger than something that they can't control.
And he was very clear about that in his tweet that he released reacting to his debut. In his tweet, he said, quote, "We got a lot of work to do still, but I more than appreciate the warm welcome back. The person with the sign that had the same silhouette that's in the front of my hoodie, thank you. Touched my soul. And with the sad family times hopefully behind me, let's grind. Hashtag forward march." So he's clearly in the mindset of moving forward, forgetting what happened in WWE. I suggest everybody do the same because now this is a new era for Keith Lee.
Here's a comment here, Jeremy. I want your response to this. Eric Cavallera, always with us. Thank you so much, Eric. He says, I'm glad Keith is in AEW. AEW really needs some brute force, and Keith is a good guy. I think he's kind of referencing the size there. It is not a promotion driven by big guys, though big guys stand out there. Lance Archer had a beautiful death match last night with Adam Hangman Page. But big guys stand out because they have a lot of guys that are kind of like cruiserweight guys between 205 and 230, 240. So you have a super heavyweight here who can move and do some really dynamic things and cut some promos. How much will he stand out in this promotion?
Yeah, I don't, there is a lack of heavyweights in AEW, and that could be to Keith Lee's benefit to help him stand out. Obviously, it's a crowded situation with a lot of people on the roster and limited television time. So I think that's going to help him stand out for the most part. And if he continues to get that crowd support, he's going to continue to be on TV. That's going to be the exact point. If he starts getting crickets when he comes out, then he'll be, down to dark elevation.
There were no crickets for him last night. People were happy to see him.
I don't know, but call me a WWE apologist, or call me a Keith Lee defender, or call me a Keith
apologist.
That's Kevin.
That's Kevin.
Call me a Keith Lee.
Don't steal my fucking
but
shit, Jose. All right, I got a gimmick.
I know you got a gimmick, but listen, I'll tell you this
Jeremy
about
was sipping a drink. I was hoping you were going to spit it out.
I'll tell you this about Keith Lee and AEW right now. AEW does not have anyone that looks like, that sounds like, that wrestles like Keith Lee on their roster right now. That makes him pretty damn special. And because that makes him pretty damn special, that makes him an attraction in my eyes. I think this leaves a lot of room to make to build AEW or that championship scene around Keith Lee, even though he just had his first match and just qualified for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He's well on his way to probably getting a championship in the quickest time than any other wrestler in AEW. So I might be hyping him way too much, but the way that he reacted to the crowd last night and the crowd reacted to him last night was pretty evident that there's something special about Keith Lee and AEW.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean Smith saying Lee not a needle mover. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet because I don't think he's ever been in that type of position to be the needle mover. NXT is a developmental brand. It was always kind of like a sub brand. He did move the needle there a little bit when
he held two titles at once.
Yeah, held two titles at once.
First guy to do it.
And did move the needle a bit when he went to Monday Night Raw and beat Randy Orton. So. To write it off as I don't get it, this guy has something that's very, very special, very, very special, and I think he'll have a great future. Let's get into this weird story that broke this morning with Tony Khan. This one's really, really crazy. So this comes out from Pro Football Talk, which is an outlet ran by NBC Sports, so pretty verifiable, outlet. And then also this was in a Jacksonville area blog as well. So this wasn't just, it was Jacksonville Today. So two different sources on this story, and both of them apparently didn't get it right, as it listed Tony Khan running for Congress in the state of Florida. And this was filed with an FEC filing, the Federal Elections Commission, in September of 2021. So how would we not know about this until now? If you're running a campaign, we would certainly know about it before then. And an odd thing, obviously, the Khans are very, very influential in Jacksonville, Florida. I can tell you from talking to people. I know that they own a lot of property. They influence a lot of different business. I'm from Illinois in Champaign. They run a lot of different things in Champaign. They have a golf course they're involved with there. They have a lot of influence. So a lot of people that are big in business make the jump into politics. But I think he's got maybe a little bit too much on his plate, involved with an NFL team, Premier League
when
team.
I saw that report this morning, and I'm like, what? He's going to be running for Congress while running AEW, while running the Jaguars? Like, the hell, dude? Like, that's impossible.
It is impossible to me, and it would be way, way too hard to do it. But it was definitely someone doing some internet shenanigans, right? And we've seen this stuff before. And then he quickly got out in front of it and put out a pretty funny tweet about it, didn't he, Jeremy?
Yeah, he posted here that the fact checking.
He put out a tweet that didn't aggravate people. Look at that.
Well, it probably aggravated somebody. Who knows? The fact checking standard for Pro Football Talk reporting is far lower than that of AEW's roving reporter Tony Schiavone. I'm definitely not running for Congress. This filing is faker than Eddie Gilbert's apology to Tommy Rich in 1984. and PFT sources are as trustworthy as MJF.
Way to bring out a reference out of the bag. I mean, geez.
He went deep for that one.
He really went in deep, man. He reached deep. He reached
Tony
as
Khan,
deep as he
Tony
can
Khan
in the
proven
time capsule.
he's loved wrestling for a very, very long time. He's loved wrestling for a very long time.
A lot of people on this chat are like, huh?
What? Wildfire Tommy Rich? What are you talking
Who's
about?
that guy? We got a super chat here, guys. Let's read the super chat before it expires here from Roland Curtis. We appreciate you, Roland. Thank you for chiming in and donating that super chat on YouTube, saying, I disagree that Lee got an overwhelming pop when he appeared or during his ring walk. It was underwhelming, but I agree with Russo. It's not so much about the debut pop or lack thereof, what AEW does with him at this point.
People always judge those like debut pops for an anticipated guy on this one standard of Jericho jumping from WCW to WWE. Like that's the one. That's the one you got. Like,
I mean, did you see the crowd though?
Yeah,
it was not fake WWE pops. You saw people in the crowd moving their hands, clapping, and you saw that after the match as well. Listen to the. Listen to the replay. It's on YouTube. It was definitely a pop. I don't know how that could have been an underwhelming pop. That was
it was a big pop. I remember going to the Royal Rumble a few weeks ago, and I saw people online saying, "Oh, that was a fake pop for Johnny Knoxville." No, it was not. It was a huge pop for him. That crowd wanted to see Johnny Knoxville get in the ring and do some ridiculous stuff. And there was people like, I heard some people say, "Oh, it wasn't a big pop for Mickie James." No, I was there. It was a big pop. That was a legitimate reaction. I think kind of after the Thunderdome, people's like, especially with watching television, there's this sense of like, I know this isn't like as legit as it could be, or is this like they have this like jaded sense of how the television is produced.
I remember I was at a Monday Night Raw. This is like right when the fans came back in July. I was at a Monday Night Raw and I jumped in on a live report on Legion of Raw with Russo and Dr. Chris Featherstone. And you know what the first question was from Russo? So Jose, how was the piped in audience? And I was like, I don't know, because it was pretty loud in there.
Bro, I was there.
I can't tell you how was the piped in audience because I couldn't tell if there was one because it was pretty loud. So I find it hilarious, even to this day, that we still get, viewers that still say that. There's like, oh, they piped in the boos or they piped in the pops. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah, there's times where you hear the pops and the crowd is just sitting on their hands, though, like on a Raw or whatever. And it's like, wait a minute.
That's also like where that reaction's coming from, And I've been at shows where there's parts of the audience that are really into something, and there are parts of the audience that aren't. And what are you shooting? Like what do you actually have the camera on? So I give people the benefit of the doubt until it's like absolutely true. Assumptions aren't facts. Like I think that has to be proven. Like assumptions are not.
What happens
facts.
What happens when you spell assume?
You got a lot of ass in there. Got a lot of ass. Exactly here. People saying Russo's such a mark. Russo's such a mark. Well, you can watch, bro. Come on, bro. You can check out a weekly edition. 2 different shows we do with him. Three shows now. We have Legion of Raw with him every Monday night. We have Writing with Russo, where he kind of rewrites a modern storyline. It's a short form show. And then the Bro Show every Thursday. We'll have a new episode of that tonight. That's him and DDP. That premieres on our Instagram, and then we post it a little bit later on our YouTube, and we're trying to get that up on our podcast feed as well. Thank you to people subscribing to the podcast, by the way. We are now in the charts, top 100 Apple wrestling charts in the United States, in Canada, in Great Britain, in India, and in Ireland. So I have Irish cousins, so thank you to my Irish cousins who are downloading the podcast over and over again. Thank you guys so much. And if you're listening on the podcast side of things, we want to hear from you. Hit us up on social medias. Follow the guys. Hit us up. Say, hey, I listened to the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. It really, really helps here. We have one more story to jump in here. Am I correct, boys? Am I missing? Oh, yes. Here we are. Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins reveals his Mount Rushmore of wrestling. These are always so controversial. When people get asked to do their Mount Rushmore of wrestling, there's always the omission. Like, you didn't say this person. You didn't say that person. How could you say this person, right? So Seth Rollins lays out his Mount Rushmore, his big old mountain of the 4 greatest. What was on the Rushmore Rollins mountain?
This is a very interesting answer from Seth Rollins because he gave us quite a few different scenarios. So Rollins was on the Pat McAfee show today, just being on there. And he got asked that question as far as like, who would be your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? And he says, quote, in our business, which is the entertainment business, money drawing is the biggest thing.
Mhm.
So if we're talking from that standpoint, Hogan, Cena, Rock, and Austin from a money drawing standpoint.
Mhm.
But he also understands that as a fan, from an in-rings perspective, he has a totally different set of guys. He said Shawn Michaels, Eddie
Yeah.
Guerrero,
Yeah.
Bret the Hitman Hart,
Yeah.
and Mongo. He's like, did somebody drop a Mongo? He's like,
Mongo McMichael?
yeah, like you're talking about Michaels. But the interesting number 4 pick, because he's still active in the ring,
Yeah.
is Bryan Danielson, current AEW guy. So he
No,
put
I mean, come on. Like, you can make these lists, and it's really about your personal experience, right?
Of course.
And what you like, what your preferences are as a fan. And you got, obviously, Rollins is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He is. Bell to bell, still is. And he's doing a lot more character stuff now. So I think people kind of forget the bangers that this guy's done bell to bell. But yeah, I agree with him. People already have their picks. So you're as a fan, you're impartial. I think with wrestlers, I listen to theirs a little bit more than I would fans. I don't mind that conversation with fans. Everyone asks you that, right? You're at a bar, people say, who are your favorite wrestlers? And you always give them the 4 picks right there, and obviously people saying, oh, why didn't they have this person? Or wow, no Flair on there, and everyone has their Mount Rushmore, right? Oh, this is sweet. From Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes, my Mount Rushmore is Kev, Jeremy, Jose, and Vince Russo. Wow,
we're gonna have to do like one of those 1980 portrait poses, like all of us looking into the air with the faded backgrounds.
We should put our heads in stone and put them together.
Bro, who are these guys?
Bro, the Mount Rushmore.
Who are these guys, bro? Back in my day, we had stars. We had characters. There we go.
That's a pretty spot on Vince Russo.
That's pretty good there, bro.
Yeah, I know. So thank you for and then people are saying Hogan, Rock, Austin, Undertaker. It's hard though. It's so hard. I'm waiting. Can we? I know this isn't a news thing. Can we just get someone announced for the WWE Hall of Fame? Like, I want to know. I want to know by now.
I told you, we're probably not going to hear it until the Elimination Chamber or the show afterwards.
But also, I think that once they announce the name, the tickets will go through the roof for that too, depending on who it is. Because that's added to a SmackDown too. That's an odd presentation because you're gonna have a crowd that's already like watched 2.5 hours of wrestling, and now they're getting speeches.
What if it's what you've been trying to say, Jose, or maybe it's Kevin? I can't remember which one you were saying. What if it is only Undertaker? Then with the way they have this thing scheduled,
if it's only Undertaker,
a 2-hour Hall of Fame induction just for the Undertaker,
and I get a SmackDown, sure,
that will actually live up to that final farewell from Survivor Series. That was absolute garbage in my opinion because it was in the Thunderdome. This will be the best way to send him off into sunset. Give him a 2-hour induction, him be the only person inducted. I think that's
my God. Otherwise, you're gonna sit through 4-hour Hall of Fame after a 2-hour SmackDown. Woo.
I know, but I also think they've learned from the past of how to do these. That's why WrestleMania is 2 nights. It's not 1 night because they're going to burn fans out. So
they're no longer letting someone talk about their mama like Mr. T for 30 minutes.
Oh, anymore. God. Wow. I remember my mama.
If I was them, I would tape some of those Hall of Fame speeches before SmackDown starts.
They should just take a note out of the Grammys and just start playing the music. Just play them off. Like,
oh yeah.
Just play them off. Just have a presenter. Just escort them off. We're running on time here, guys. Come on. I love this comment by Eric. He's talking about the Mount Rushmore. I guess he drew a prototype of us in the Mount Rushmore. So we can get that published. That'd be awesome.
Bro,
thank you so much. And
then we gotta tell Vince Russo and say this is the Sportskeeda Mount Rushmore right here.
I love when we put out those interactive questions like who's gonna win the Royal Rumble or who do you want to see in a match at WrestleMania or something like that. And everyone goes, I want to say Jose or Jose Kev. I'm just like, thank you. That's such a smart ass thing to do. I appreciate it.
I think we get this question asked at least once a month. You go, okay, you guys can't finish the show unless you tell us your Mount Rushmore. I think
this will change next month.
Right? We gave ours a while back. I can't remember what prompted it, but it's interesting. Maybe do the one that Rollins did, the in-ring performer one, where it was different than the money making one.
If it's strictly bell to bell, Bryan Danielson is on there. I would put if it's just bell to bell, it's hard. It's hard because there's so many like really, really good wrestlers.
I thought
Shawn Michaels.
I thought Rollins was spot on with his 4, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue with Eddie or Hitman either. You know, Hitman is one of the catalysts of change away from that prototypical meathead
Stylistic in-ring performance.
Yeah. It was kind of the departure of the big WWF champion at the time, and and Shawn Michaels continued that once he had turned heel on Marty. So those were kind of the catalysts of what Bryan Danielson is doing in the ring right now. Those, if it wasn't for those guys, they would, Bryan Danielson probably wouldn't be a world champion somewhere either.
Yeah, so if you're watching, give us your Mount Rushmore. We want to know. It's always a fun question to ask people. Jump in the comments below. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling. Get us cracking. We're looking at. We want to get to 30,000. That's what we're pursuing right now.
We're right at the corner of 26. So just help us get there so we can get to 30.
We also have another side channel. This is Wrestle Binge. And this is our channel that focuses almost exclusively on kind of like fully produced video, like not live conversation stuff. So we have a lot of top 5s on there. Jeremy and I have produced different things for it. It's really, really cool. We're doing some game show stuff now, which is pretty sweet. That Jose and I are working on. We just dropped the first episode. It's 45 seconds. So don't tell me you don't have 45 seconds to watch this.
It's fun. It's fun.
Guess the wrestler. We put 45 seconds on the clock. Guess the wrestler. I think I now have the time. 23 seconds. I got the wrestler in 23 seconds.
We got to get Jeremy on guess that wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be quite fun. Go check that out. It's up on our Twitter now as well. And we'll be dropping that as a short on our YouTube. You can follow Jose at Jose_G_ official. I almost said Gonzalez. It's wrong.
That's somebody else.
You get him on Instagram. He's the one who's still active in the IG. I'm on there. I'm on the Instagram as well, but I'm not as active on it as I am on Twitter. So you can follow me at KevCalm, Jeremy Bennett at JB Huskers, at JB Huskers. Go Huskers, right?
No,
big
boy.
game. Big game this Sunday. I will say big game this Sunday.
Yeah.
Read a fun fact that most of the country is rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals to defeat the LA Rams, but we'll see. The Rock will be there. Do we get any WWE tie-ins with NBC, you guys think?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Last year we had some WWE guys heavily featured in the Super Bowl. Maybe we may get something. I'm not sure if they're going to announce or do something special last minute for the Super Bowl, kind of like a halftime heat. I don't know. That'd be
if
cool.
they would, I think we would have known by now.
I don't think it's going to be XFL related, since that's going to be the Fox is going to broadcast the XFL. So it's probably not XFL related. So you never know with The Rock. He's got a lot of irons in the fire. So
yes, The Rock will be a part of the pre-show for the Super Bowl. He's already confirmed that, so that'll be interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Remember, when watching wrestling, please do the most important thing. You have to turn your brain off and not complain about camera angles and how the crowd is mic'd, and just take a deep breath and enjoy what?
You got to enjoy it, guys. Enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!